I'm Aeddan Shaw, and together with Luc Ampleman, I'd like to introduce you to the Flipsaw Classroom. What was the thing that students struggled with most with the transition to online learning? The answer is, they felt overwhelmed and overburdened with too much work that was supposed to be done at home rather than in the class. So what, I hear you say? They're students. That's what they should do, right? Study. I think, in fairness, it's not really that simple. I think we can all empathise that teaching and learning online is very different. We seem to be putting out fires, dealing with one problem after another. At the same time, we're trying to balance expectations, what we want to be able to do as teachers and what students necessarily expect in this new online format. We can also struggle to help learners. A situation that's relatively simple to sort out in a face-to-face environment becomes much more challenging when it becomes online. And finally, we have to engage them. And when you're delivering a set of lessons via MS Teams every day, it can become very repetitive very quickly. But the response to overburden learners to give them too much to do at home is also not an answer. So our idea with the Flipsaw Classroom is to try to solve this problem. Let us just take you through what the Flipsaw Classroom is. The first part of the name comes from the flipped classroom, which I think most people are familiar with, where you take the content that you would traditionally deliver within the classroom and you shift it outside. So students work on things at home, then they come to class, and through active learning techniques, that content is then consolidated, developed, and expanded. Our twist is that we add a jigsaw approach to this content. So this is borrowed from Aronson's Jigsaw Classroom. We take that content, we divide it up, and then we give students the different bits of content, and then they reassemble it in the class time. What this means is that we create information and opinion gaps. And research has shown that these are crucial for engagement. Essentially, if one student is telling someone else something that they don't know about, then that creates an information gap, and that means they're more likely to be interested. So let's have a look in a bit more detail at what a typical small-scale flipped classroom lesson would look like. Let's take, for example, we have 3 readings, and traditionally we would give those 3 readings to one student. The Flipsaw Classroom does this slightly differently. It takes those 3 readings and it divides them between 3 students. So instead of one person having to prepare all of that work, instead we get to focus in more depth on one of those readings. So here we have one of our students distributing the 3 readings. What their task is, as all students do, go home, study their reading, prepare, make notes, and come to class next time. This leads us to step 2. Step 2, we take all of the students who've read one particular text and we put them together. This is their chance to consolidate, share ideas, try out some ideas that perhaps they're not 100% sure of, and make sure that everyone is on the same page. Having done this, we move to step 3, and here we put students into different groups where there are representatives of each of the 3 texts that have been read. Here they share their ideas, they consolidate once again, and so everyone then has access to all of that content, even though they've only read one of those texts. Now, in a step that's kind of familiar for flipped classroom, stage 4, we use active learning techniques to consolidate that information to make sure that everyone has a full grasp of all of the content, not just the 1/3 that they've read, and we're able to develop and fill in any gaps that there might be. Well, that works for you, but in my field it's very different, I can hear you say. Well, I respectfully disagree. I think any content can be jigsawed. If you're a mathematician, you can give students different solutions that they work on at home, and then we look at them in class and we see how they can apply to a particular equation. If you're in medicine, we can look at different treatments, and then we can apply them to a real case study in class. Yes, but I teach a class of 150, 300, 500 students. Well, great, that's wonderful, but it's not a problem. Instead, you have to remember that you don't have to jigsaw orally. We can use some of the wonderful online tools to share that content in class. For example, you could set up a Padlet wall, and so people can post from the 3 different readings, or 4 or 5, however many you have, and then all of the students have access to all of that content in the class. It also gives them a great written record they can take home and keep. The same is true if you want to use something like Freehand by Envision, where in real time they can share these ideas, they can put them together, and again, we have a written record that they can take and they can keep of all of that content. Another option, of course, is to use some of the collaborative documents in MS Teams, something like the class notebook or Word or PowerPoint. And again, we can share those ideas, put them down in one place, have a written record, take it home and keep. We've made Flipsaw at outlook.com. If you want to kind of contact us, reach out. If you perhaps need a bit more convincing, if there's something we can explain, if we can help to show you how you could use the Flipsaw in your teaching. We think it works. We'd like to help you see how it works too. We'd also like to thank Karolina Shaw, Eva Kraklowska, and Wojtek Peruk for their help in this presentation. It's going to be an interesting and challenging semester. We wish you all the best, good luck, and thank you.